pretty, and she's got hit records. No.
No, I just mean that's the title of the song, Jerry. In your eye,
At 85, Jeannie Seely, once known as Nashville's Queen of Country Soul, died of complications from an intestinal infection. The news was delivered quietly, without the sound of a guitar or the sound of a stage in her final moments. But in the country music world, there was a whisper of something else, that Jeannie had kept a secret until the end of her life. Not only was she the singer of Don't Touch Me, a chart-topping hit, but she was also a loyal member of the Grand Ole Opry for more than 5 decades, with more than 5,400 performances. Every night on stage, Jeannie didn't just sing, she told stories about love, heartbreak, and things no one dared to say out loud in country music. But few knew that behind that gorgeous exterior and gentle smile was a woman who fought tirelessly to be recognized in a world full of prejudice against women. And it was Jeannie who, many years ago, revealed a haunting detail, that she carried something she had never said, and it would stay with her forever. Jeannie had lived her whole life on stage, but the last thing she hid, no one could stand there to witness. And that secret was darker than anyone could imagine. Born in the small town of Titusville, Pennsylvania in 1940, Jeannie Seely grew up surrounded by rolling green hills and country music playing on an old radio. But behind the seemingly peaceful scenery was a childhood filled with hardship and silence. Her family was poor. Both of her parents worked manual labor, and music, for Jeannie, was the only place she found peace. Every night, young Jeannie would sneak into the attic and sing softly along to Patsy Cline and Hank Williams records, dreaming of a big stage where her voice wouldn't be drowned out by the noise of the world. However, the journey wasn't easy. When she decided to pursue a career in music, Jeannie was rejected many times because she wasn't outstanding enough, because there were too many female country voices, and because you don't have a star face. Worse still, Jeannie once shared that she was emotionally abused in the early stages of her career when she had to accept many things to sing in small clubs in Nashville. She did not elaborate, but in a rare interview, Jeannie left behind a haunting sentence. "I gave up more than people know, and sometimes I'm not sure I'm even myself anymore." The girl with a simple dream, to stand on stage and be heard, had to trade her youth and self-esteem. But it was from that pain that a special voice gradually formed, full of vibrations, sobs, and truth like the scars she once bore. When Jeannie Seely arrived in Nashville in the early 1960s, the country music industry was still very conservative. Men dominated the stage, and women were relegated to the role of singing softly, being nice, and not causing controversy. But Jeannie didn't accept that. In 1966, she released the hit Don't Touch Me, a song that dared to touch on the subject of emotional desire and physical contact between men and women, something that was considered too bold at the time. But contrary to the fears of the record labels, the song was not only a huge success, but also won her a prestigious Grammy Award. That was the moment when Jeannie Seely became an icon, not because of scandal, but because she dared to speak up about women's desire, pain, and autonomy. And then the unthinkable happened. In 1967, Jeannie was officially invited to join the Grand Ole Opry, the sacred temple of country music, where few women had ever been granted the opportunity to join the official ranks. Since then, she has performed more than 5,400 times on this stage, inspiring a series of female singers such as Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire, and Miranda Lambert. However, as she rose, she was increasingly isolated by some conservatives in the industry. Someone told her directly, "You are ruining the image of the American woman." Jeannie just laughed and replied with an unforgettable line, "If that means telling the truth, then I will ruin it even more." After more than 60 years of living with music, Jeannie Seely gradually withdrew from the spotlight. But she never stopped singing. Just not for large audiences, but for memories, and for herself in her peaceful home in Nashville. Relatives said that in recent years, Jeannie often retreated to a small room in the house, where no one was allowed to enter. That room, according to her granddaughter, was locked whenever guests came to visit. Inside, there was no electric light, only the light of a table lamp, an old cassette player, unreleased records, and a pile of handwritten letters that no one dared to open. And then, on July 23, 2025, Jeannie was hospitalized with a serious intestinal infection. She did not survive. But before she passed away, in a coma, she held her daughter's hand and said something strange. "Don't open that room if you're not ready to hear the whole story." That statement became the focus of the family and the Nashville media. What was hidden in that room? Untold pain? A diary? Unreleased recordings of final thoughts? No one knew. And to this day, the room remains locked. After Jeannie Seely passed away, Nashville was in mourning. The lights dimmed on the Grand Ole Opry stage, where she had performed more than 540 times, leaving only a single microphone and a moment of silence. Generations of female artists took turns speaking out. Dolly Parton wrote on social media, "Without Jeannie, we wouldn't have had a path into country." Miranda Lambert broke down in tears on stage while performing "Don't Touch Me." And even young emerging artists are listening to old recordings to understand how such a small woman could shake up an entire genre of music. Jeannie Seely was more than just a singer. She was a bridge between tradition and modernity, a symbol of perseverance, courage, and indomitable spirit in country music. But the most touching thing is, a few months before her death, she wrote a handwritten letter to all the women who were starting out on the singing path. In the letter, she did not talk about fame, did not talk about Grammys, but only wrote a single line. "If the voice is the house, then the truth must be the foundation." For millions of country music lovers around the world, Jeannie Seely will forever be a monument, not because of her flashiness, but because of her unshakable sincerity.